Hey everybody, welcome back to Video Game Mess. So, Tarkin, you know what time it is? It's time to talk about another PlayStation 1 static recompilation. That is because maybe about a week and a half ago, I talked about the Mega Man X6 static recomp from M-Stan and said that it was a really great version of the game, and his launcher absolutely makes it so much easier to get into these games than a lot of other recomps out there, because I know that always gives you guys a little bit of hell. Well, the good news is now the best Mega Man X game, at least in my opinion, Mega Man X4 also has a static recompilation out that you can download and play on your PC today. And I know there is some debate amongst fans of what the best game in the X sub-franchise is, but I would personally say X4 100% does it for me. And even though I own the Sega Saturn version of the game as a Japanese copy, the PlayStation 1 version is a ton of fun and really not much different than the Saturn version. And getting this running on PC, absolutely something we definitely want. And it does have an experimental widescreen mode right now, but honestly not working well enough for the capture, because I want you guys to know that this is still in active development, but I did go through most of the game playing around with it both for capture and in my spare time, and it really does feel very close to buttoned up. And again, I understand that Mega Man X4 has been released in a bunch of different compilations, so when people take those comments and say, well, why do we need this? Remember, it allows for basically infinite modability in the future, and I always love to say options are a good thing, and when you have these games that are absolutely 10 out of 10 Hall of Fame first ballot classics, having more ways to play them is definitely going to be a win for everyone. Before we get too much further involved though, do me a huge favor, go down below, hit like and subscribe, and ring that notification bell. Definitely helps us out. And if you feel so inclined and want to support the channel, I got a Patreon link down below as well. But I still remember the first time I played Mega Man X4, I bought a Japanese import copy for Saturn probably like 20 plus years ago and absolutely fell in love with the game, because I remember playing the Super Nintendo versions but never really got into Mega Man when it was actually new. But I came in pretty closely after when I was starting collecting, and I fell in love with this, and I've always enjoyed playing it ever since. So much so that every single time there was a new FPGA Saturn core or there's an update to Amir, I usually play X4 just to talk about how good the Sega Saturn can look. So having this on PlayStation 1, 10 out of 10 win as well. Now basically everything from the FMV sequences to the gameplay and everything else is going to be working exactly as expected, and that's why I'm cutting in this FMV intro sequence here just to show you how good these animations are. That really is the fun thing about X4 and the X franchise in general. Capcom threw basically everything and the kitchen sink at taking these games to the next level. By X4 I really feel like they had perfected this franchise, but honestly after that it starts to slip a little bit until the point in time where it completely disappears from gaming consciousness. But as we jump into this level here, just take a look at the graphics, take a look at the backgrounds. Everything is working exactly as you would expect it to be, and this isn't using any sort of deck station underneath. It is a full static recomp of X4 on PlayStation 1. Now for the people that do care about it, I always like to let you know that M-Stan does use Claude in spots to make these recomps, so if that's something you don't care for, you know, and if it's something you don't mind, now you know as well. It's one of those things I always say, I let you guys decide what it is you want to play and not play, and because they're not getting very many PlayStation 1 recomps, M-Stan's entire kind of workflow here definitely bringing them to the forefront and kind of trying to compete with N64 for the amount of titles out there. But N64 still has a massive head start, so it's going to take a minute for it to catch up to that. So as far as actually playing the game, controlling it, and everything else, there's absolutely no latency in the controls whatsoever. If you die, if you miss a jump, that is because you pressed the button at the wrong time or didn't read the screen correctly. That kind of is the thing about Mega Man games, especially the X franchise. You are going to die a lot if it's your first playthrough and you don't remember where everything is. And even if you played this game a bunch before, you're still going to try to rush ahead ever so slightly and mistime a jump. But that's what we really need out of a static recomp. We want absolutely no latency in the controls. That way, if you take a death, you know it's because you made a mistake and not because the game dropped an input or had input latency, so you didn't actually jump when you thought you did. And that is definitely a very big bonus. Now going into the first soundtrack sample, I will say these recomps still have a little bit of static in the audio. Nothing bad here, but the next recomp I'm going to talk about in a different video, you'll hear something slightly different. So go ahead and listen for 45 seconds and I'll be right back with a lot more. Now, in my opinion, I would say that the audio is like 95% there, but every once in a while it plays a little bit loud and might actually clip here or there, and some of the sound effects have a little bit of static in them. But don't forget, these are all still in active development recomps, and this is basically version 0.1 right now, so the fact that it runs this well, the graphics are basically almost 100% buttoned up, and the latency in the controls is absolutely not there whatsoever. It really is a very good first draft, and that is the thing. MStan always updates their static recomps, and a lot of them get better over time, but I'm just bringing you guys the news of what is out now that you can play around with. And I did send this to one person I know who really does enjoy Mega Man, and while he didn't have a chance to beat the entire thing because he was a little bit short on time, he basically said that it felt like Mega Man X4 to him, and it's definitely someone whose opinion I take and believe in. But as we go through this stage here, the speeder bike area, big Battletoads vibes going on. This is definitely a fast twitch game, and definitely stick with it if you've never played it before. And as far as what version to play, honestly, this static recomp is so good, minus a little bit of loudness in the audio. I think you could probably just sit down and play X4 as the PlayStation 1 static recomp moving forward. And there's definitely a lot of movement in the PlayStation 1 static recomp sphere right now as well, with Symphony of the Night getting updated and hopefully being out soon, and a lot of other projects on the way, because there's a bunch of different tool sets out there to be able to make these static recomps. MStan has his workflow, and then a couple other developers are working on their own PlayStation 1 static recompiler as well, for both the actual code, the MIPS code on the CPU, as well as everything that makes up the actual video and audio hardware for PlayStation 1 as well. It is not an easy job whatsoever, so the fact that we're seeing these and they are working so well so early is definitely a testament to just how much this is going to be a big deal in the future, because it really isn't fair that Nintendo has all the fun. PlayStation 1 wants to get in on the game, and as far as why we're not seeing more Sega Saturn recomps or decomp based source ports, we're just going to have to wait. I know of some in development, they're just not moving as quickly. But here through this log sequence again, I know you can't feel it when you watch a video, but the input latency being 0 absolutely makes this game that much more fun to play, because unless you're on something like a CRT television with a Saturn or PlayStation 1, or you have an expensive 4K scaler, you're always going to get a little bit of latency if you plug something like a PlayStation 1 into the back of your TV, where here, on my production monitors that are sub 1 frame of lag, it is absolutely a flawless experience. Now taking a look at the graphics here, the transparencies in this waterfall and everything else, I really can't spot a stray pixel out of alignment or anything else that makes me think that at least in that scene it's doing 100% of what it needs to do to be replicating a PlayStation 1 as a static recomp. Every once in a while you'll see a straight line going through something like a sunbeam. It just kind of feels like two polygons not perfectly aligning, but otherwise you have to pixel peep to find that in the first place. Let's do the second soundtrack sample, 45 seconds, again, pretty close to 95 to 100% complete, and I'll be right back, talk a little bit more about this one, and explain how you can play it if you want to play it today. See, as I like to say in many videos, I definitely have two tin ears and I always miss audio issues. If there's anything in there that you don't think sounds correct, leave me a comment down below, because I'm always curious, because I'm way more of a visual person. And don't forget, MStan's already released their Mega Man X6 static recomp. Maybe not the best game in the franchise, and soon we'll be talking about Mega Man X5 as well. Just waiting to see if there's a few improvements to that one before I actually do a video. But this is a fun time getting all of these games statically recompiled to PC, and hopefully MStan works on some more 3D stuff soon, because they have their Tomba recomp, which I've definitely been playing around with a lot in the background. Has been a fun time, and if the developer is listening, if you want to do a static recomp for Ape Escape, that would definitely be the game I would love to see more than any. But you leave me a comment down below and answer two questions. One, what is your favorite Mega Man game in the X sub-franchise? And two, if you could snap your fingers right now and make one PlayStation 1 game show up as a perfect static recomp, which one would it be? Obviously, I already answered. Ape Escape is one of my favorite Sony PlayStation franchises, and I'd love to see it on my computer running in better resolution, even if we have something like DuckStation. And don't get me wrong, DuckStation is absolutely incredible, but having options to play PlayStation 1 games is always going to be a fun time. So hopefully soon the widescreen mode on this gets a little bit cleaned up. But otherwise, if you want to play it, the GitHub link's down below, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye-bye.